have you just at that exact time. South Haven got lucky. Yeah, I was up there.
Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the South Haven City Council. Today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. And this meeting is called to order. Tonight's invocation is by Pastor Anthony of Lily of the Valley Church.
Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we do thank you for allowing us this opportunity together in this place, and to serve even by making decisions that serve and benefit our community. It is our request, God, grant to us your guidance as we deliberate important matters before this council. May all decisions be made with integrity, fairness, and with an honest commitment of all the citizens of South and beyond. We further pray for your understanding and a spirit of collaboration among our members, our mayor, our city manager, and so many. So it is in Jesus' name that we ask these blessings. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we have a roll call, please? Megan?
Jeff Arnold. Jeff Mary Hasley. Mary Hasley. Wendy O'Reeser. George Sleeper. George Letitia Wilkins.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins. Annie Brown.
Thank you. Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Moving on to community update. First, we have an update from the Van Buren Conservation District. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to join you all. We just have a few upcoming events we'd like to make you all aware of. Later this month, we are hosting our annual meeting over at the Liberty High Bailey Museum. We'd love to have you all join us for that. It's on Wednesday, July 23rd, starting at 5 p.m. We'll have free food, music, short, get to know us. Really just like to hang out and be a part of our community. As well, we also have our summer recycling education events going on. This week I'll be at a couple transfer stations, just letting folks answer questions. Most relevant to this side of the county, I'll be at the Three Blondes Brewing Company a little later in October, but more of a informal just chat so folks can come ask their recycling questions, and we'll have some displays set up with some educational banners for folks to take a look. And lastly, we have our South Haven Recycle Roundup coming up Saturday, August 2nd. That is at the DPW, where we will be accepting the household hazardous waste, so batteries, light bulbs, cleaners, as well as the styrofoam, tires, and electronics. That is at no direct cost to our residents. That event runs from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. I said lastly, but I forgot to. More for our board members. We also have a Understanding and Advancing Recycling in Your Community event coming up. That's more of a lunch and learn, again, targeted towards community leaders to just look at what options there are for recycling in your community. City of South Haven is very advanced in having the curbside recycling, which is great. But if you want to know where your recycling goes, we're going to have the manager of that facility present to talk about and show what that facility looks like, and then some of our community leaders to talk about what their communities are doing and how others can get involved.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
When is the last one that you mentioned?
September.
Okay.
We'll be at the South Haven Township Hall on September 22nd.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I just handicate those flyers for you.
Thank you. They sound like great events.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being here.
Absolutely, thank you.
Next, we have a representative from Surf Internet.
Good evening. My name is Faith Rumfeld, and I'm the Regional Market Manager for South Haven. And with me, I have Mike, who is our project manager, right? Construction manager. I came just to kind of put a face to my position, which is really about events. We're involved with your chamber, sponsorships, all the community stuff. He's here to really answer questions about where we're at in construction for South Haven. We know there's some questions around that. And we're gonna slide pretty fast through this. Just for people that don't know, we've been in the industry now for 25 years. We are exploding throughout Michigan. We're looking at branching out beyond Illinois and Indiana as well. But one of our main goals is staying in touch with the communities. We don't want to lose that because that's what other businesses do. We want to impact your community in a very powerful and good way. So that's a little bit about who we are. Let me go back. Keep going, yeah. Again, we have over 300 people. I actually think we're pushing over 400. We're growing very fast. We're in over 600 communities, and we have over 200,000 passings. That's homes that we actually have our fiber going by, and we're adding to that. It feels like daily. It's crazy how fast we're growing. So we can keep going. There's kind of a footprint of where we're at. The dark shadows is all the areas we serve. These are all of our Michigan markets as of last week. It has probably changed since I sent this because of the growth that's going on. And then for those that don't know, we're fiber optic. So it's not copper, which is what we used to use for internet and phone. And fiber is actually glass tube. It provides the fastest speeds. We bury it so that weather doesn't impact your service. If you lose power at your house, you hook up to a generator, chances are you're going to still have internet. And that's an amazing feat. And we can get into the construction stuff. Obviously, we've been pretty active. I'm sure you've seen our trucks around. And I'm going to let Mike take over.
Yep, so currently we're, sorry, I'm not used to this. Let's see. Currently, right now, we are working on just around the corner here. We have 3 major DOT shots that we're about to take, hence the reason for all the cones and signs, et cetera. Overall, we're sitting at about, I would say about 30 to 40% complete for the entirety of South Haven. We have a very tall glass of water to get to this year, but realistically, we're probably looking at about 80% by the end of the calendar year, and maybe a little bit going into spring of 26. I'm working every day with Dana and the DPW team, so, yeah. Any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Thanks for being here.
Yep.
Seeing all the construction's great. I think the people of South Haven are excited to have an option, someone else to turn to.
Right.
But I've been hearing from some people, and I know in my neighborhood, I saw the road patch, and oh boy, that's not very great. But then came back and a really, really nice job. But so then the complaints I've been hearing about yard repair.
Right.
One of my constituents is sitting here, and he's not real happy about the mess that was left in his yard. Is there a number we could call that you could, if you could send somebody back out to?
So we're back to me.
Okay.
I will be your person.
Okay.
So I will be leaving some cards with Kate today. And know this, we've built a lot of areas.
Sure.
And this is part of the price of progress is the digging. And we have flower beds, we've hit sprinkler systems, it happens. One thing I think we're very committed to is restoring that.
Right.
It may be ugly for a minute, but it's getting us to the next point in time when it will be fixed. And it's just it's the cost of business for us.
Understood, yeah.
But that's also what provides that security and that stable internet is by putting it in the ground. So it's, flip a coin. You're going to have problems one way or the other, but I will be your person. You can get my number, my email, and we will get someone out to take care of it.
Okay. And I know for me, I didn't get hooked up yet, but someone cut through my yard, and I was not real happy. And then someone came back and patched it. It has come back nicely this year, but
And
that's
for
not
the
everyone.
most part, we're in the utility easements. So I think that's the other thing that sometimes people don't understand. Yes, you mow it. Yes, your flower beds are there. But at the end of the day, that easement is for public utilities, which internet is. So I know it doesn't look pretty and it doesn't make you feel all fuzzy and warm, but we'll get it there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
How many fiber optic companies are there in South Haven?
I think, what is it, ADC, what are they called?
So they all have fiber optics now?
Not all. It's very specific.
So Frontier and Surf are your major fiber providers. AT&T has their own fiber that runs throughout, the community, but it's connected to an old system, which is the reason why they have issues with their service. Now that we've gone ahead and gone underneath the Dykeman Bridge, we'll be able to provide additional customers on the other side of the bridge. But all around, we're in the sense of fiber, we're kind of it, besides Frontier. So, answer your question, sir.
Xfinity Comcast, I don't believe has fiber, but they think they have high speed, but I'm not sure what that is. Bloomingdale also has fiber, but it's only in certain areas.
Right. A lot of the fiber in those markets or those companies are to back their system, to make sure their light levels stay, or not even light levels, but their levels stay consistent. It's really just a support for their cable. It's nothing more than that. We actually have fiber that goes directly to the home and allows you those speeds and capabilities. So,
Mary?
What I've been hearing is, I think there's frustration when some areas get done, and then there's an area in between two areas getting done, and there may be a larger time, a lengthier time between digging and finalizing.
right.
And-
So, I'm sorry.
No, and I think that's where more frustration comes up. So I don't know what can be done to,
Well, one of the biggest things is, so South Haven, unlike some other communities, does have a winter moratorium, okay? So that means no work can be done during that time. So we try our best to set up with Dana and the DPW team areas where we can kind of hold off until spring. As we all know, Michigan, we never know when spring's really coming. But with that being said, the area over here that is serving areas 8 and 6 for us. Means nothing to you guys, but that will be done by the end of the month. We've committed to that with Dana and his team, and that is our goal, to have all the restoration, everything complete in that section. So we'll be starting a brand new section and hopefully staying in continuity of that, so.
and maybe some of the delay was trying to fix, to get in through the bridge at certain times.
So, yeah, a lot of the delay came from the amount of work left from last year. There's still quite a bit of restoration that still needed to be done, asphalt, concrete, et cetera. We have maintained our commitment to get these patches done and taken care of. The yard restoration, again, it's gonna be steps. The first step to lay the initial seed, and then watch it grow. And so then we have to come back periodically throughout, weeks and months to make sure everything's consistent. So it's not an overnight success, but we stand behind our product, and we're very proud of it. So.
Thank you.
I can't let a moment go by without talking. So another important thing to think of, imagine you were gonna run a sprinkler system through your whole town and every house was gonna get their own yard with sprinklers. Very
Exactly.
similar. But we break it down into phases, small bites of the elephant, right? So that's why you hear him talk about phases. That's why this neighborhood's done and this one isn't. And it has to do with the main water line coming into that sprinkler. And then we got to connect from a different water line over here. And we try to do 200 to 300 homes in a phase. And so we try to get that one done, do the restoration, make sure everybody's good to go before we move on. So that way we're not juggling, because we haven't gone back for 6 months to plant the grass seed in this yard. So it is a painful process when you're eager to get it. That's great. You'll love it even more when you can finally order it. But this is the natural progression of the construction process.
Yeah, I think it comes from when one section is done and there's an intermediate area, and that deciding, people are understanding which direction it's coming from and when they'll get hooked up.
And there's usually a lot of logistics going on in the background
Correct.
that most people aren't going to have any concept of. And so if we're bouncing around, that is strategic. Maybe we need to wait for a state permit over here for this neighborhood. Maybe we need to get over railroad tracks. All those things just add time to how long it takes for us to complete a phase. So it's really so particular to these 3 streets or this, neighborhood that's a gated community or whatever. It's just so particular to those residences and how they're established. Yeah.
So with the area at LaGrange and your main streets over here as you're coming into South Haven, like she said, logistically, it was a little bit of a nightmare. It was, we're having to deal directly with the Department of Transportation, DPW, making sure that staff is available here in South Haven in case of emergency, we hit something or something. So all that in place really, permits and all that really
Understood.
kind of push us one way or another. But
Well, and thank you for dealing with the extra steps with the MDOT.
sure.
One final question. When you put the little yellow flags or orange flags in the yard,
Right.
what does it mean? Does that mean you're coming shortly? Because I've had yellow flags for 6 months. I finally took them down. It's silly to leave them up all that time.
Right. Some of them might have been from the work left over from last year, but traditionally those flags are indicating additional services in the area, whether it be yellow is gas, communication is traditionally orange, power red, and that just allows our crews to know where we need open holes so that we can window them properly and pass through without hitting anything. It's really just for the construction process. Please keep those flags up as long as you can. It definitely is, it hurts us when when flags are taken out of the yards. It definitely even hurts your own community. There's a lot of back work that needs to happen for, tracing those utilities, so, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It is now time for public comment for items on the agenda, excluding items scheduled for public hearing, and you have up to 5 minutes. If there are no comments, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G?
I move to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Arnold,
Yes.
Hosley,
Yes.
Onuki.
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. The city council will be asked to consider approval of the special event application 2025-35 Super Soaker Saturday to be held on Saturday, July 26, 2025, from 4 to 8 p.m. at Elkenberg Park. Is there a motion to approve that event?
I move to approve special event application 2025-35 Super Soaker Saturday as read by the mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The event is approved. Thank you. Next, the city council will be asked to consider approval of the following amendments to existing beach concession license agreements. A, second amendment to the North Beach concession license agreement with VHF Incorporated to continue until December 31st, 2030. And B, second amendment to the South Beach concession license agreement with South Beach Cafe LLC to continue until December 31st, 2030. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. As this states, these are second amendments to these two concession license agreement. We've been working with both these concessionaires for some time. We have good relationships with both of them. So there's Ken Van Horn, who operates the North Beach concession, and Todd Newberry of South Beach Cafe, who operates South Beach concession. Both these concessionaires obviously provide a service in providing food on the beach, but also secondarily, and this is to a major benefit to the city, is that they help us clean those areas and keep eyes on them. They are cleaning those bathrooms multiple times a day. By contract, I believe we have them in there at least 4 times a day, but many times they're in there throughout the day. And they use their staff to keep those, maintain those, keep them staffed with provisions that we have for toilet paper, but keeping them maintained, and that is a huge benefit to the city. This is not necessarily meant to be a moneymaker, but this is meant to get eyes on the beach, and they do take care of like the concession area around, so they pick up the trash, they take care of things around there. So this is a huge benefit to the city, and we'd like to have a second amendment approved by council for both of these concessionaires.
Thank you. Is there a, Joe?
Question.
Go ahead.
Is it possible, especially with the lawyer here to ask the question, is it possible for us to approve the concessions to add a percentage to each bill, each sale, let's say 5%, to go towards beach safety? In other words, if we're going to have lifeguards, can we start to put any kind of fee on these concession stands, which will also help defer the cost of a lifeguard?
Does that mean like for every transaction, there would be a surcharge for beach safety that we would have to collect from them?
Yeah. Right now, if you go to many places, they want to charge you anywhere from 2 to 4% just to use a credit card. Can we put a charge on for beach safety? Many cities, when you go to stay at a hotel or motel, there's all kind of tourist fees and all that. Can we do anything with the concessions? And that would only be the beginning. There's other things we could put a fee on to try to pay for the lifeguards.
Like a sales tax for lifeguards, essentially?
Pardon me?
Like a sales tax for lifeguards, is what you're asking?
Yeah, well, it would go on the sale. It's not a sales tax, but it's a fee, and it would be a percentage of the sale, yes.
I'm not currently aware of a way to do that. That doesn't mean if council tasks us to look at that, we're happy to look into that. But as of now, nothing's jumping to mind that would necessarily authorize us to put a fee like that onto the sale. And, I mean, absent some sort of, hey, contractual agreement with them to charge an extra X% and we get to take part of it. But we're already getting, you know, the licensing fee. But if that's something council wants us to look into, we're happy to do that.
I would.
So one thing we have going on in these two buildings is that the North Beach is a building that's owned by the city. The South Beach, we have the pavilion and we have the bathroom building. And we put money into those two facilities because we do own them. The two other buildings that are down there are owned by the concessionaire and they put their money into them. All the equipment that's are in the buildings are owned by the concessionaires, so this is a significant expense that they have down there. If this is something the council would like to look into, I do know that, you know, for visitors and convention bureaus, they have a state statute that they are able to levy occupancy fees, or they call it the heads and beds tax. I'm not aware of any particular, I guess, sales fee or sales license fee that we would have to charge for that, but that's something we'd have to look into. I do know that both of these concessionaires do quite a bit of work in maintaining those areas because we don't necessarily have park staff going down there, but the concessionaires and their staff help maintain and keep that area clear of any trash. They help pick up, and they do maintain those bathrooms quite a bit. I can't tell you how much those bathrooms get used. So that's a significant benefit that is to the city that we are getting, one, we're getting a license fee for, we're getting a 3% increase each year, and then we have their staff maintaining our restrooms.
And you understand, this is not a punishment. This is nothing against the concessions. Matter of fact, I'm grateful knowing all the things they do. But this would be money in, money out. They would collect the 5%. Maybe they collect 5%. We say you keep 20%, which is 1% for collecting it and for anything else, but 4% would go to lifeguards. I'm just trying to find creative ways, because I will not support, and I've said this before, I won't support a millage for lifeguards on the residents, especially when we consider the majority of the people using the beaches are tourists. So if we can put lifeguards in and keep tourists safe, I'd be more than willing, if I was a tourist, to pay an extra 5% on the food and anything else in a concession stand to keep my children and myself safer. And I'm not trying to give you a speech, I'm just trying to find a way to do this.
Yeah, and like I said, if that's the will of council, we're happy to look into it. I guess I'd defer to Kate in terms of if that's council's desire for us to look into that, would that mean tabling the second amendments until a later date?
I would think so.
Or,
I have a question. I hear what you're saying, and I certainly agree with us trying to get the lifeguard program up and running, but it just seems like the way you're talking of just putting some type of surcharge for people using a concession stand doesn't seem quite fair, because all the tourists are not going to use the concession stand. It just seems like if we want to have some type of surcharge, that it would be part of some type of tourism. I don't know how that would work. You know, I don't know how you would surcharge tourism, but I'm just thinking that just a group of people using a concession doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem fair. Just seems like we need to be charging everyone. If you want to charge tourism, it should be tourism as a whole. Maybe the parking, or, I don't know. I mean, we could be creative, but not for food.
Wendy?
Yeah, I do really like Joe's idea, and I feel like, especially if we're talking about potentially having lifeguards on the north and south beach, and that's where the concession stands are, they kind of go hand in hand. To me, it's worth looking at. I do agree, Letitia, that it would be nice to also look at other options, especially when it comes to the tourism industry and supporting lifeguards. But I think it's a good idea that's worth looking at. And I understand that the concession stands, like, maybe their margins are tight. I really don't know. But I would like to explore the option, because I think we are going to need to generate revenue if we're looking at lifeguards on the beaches.
Well, wouldn't it make sense to be like a citywide during tourism time, there be some type of surcharge? So it wouldn't just be down on the beach, it would just be the whole city at a certain period of time. Just a thought.
Mary?
Yeah, so I think and Joe, please correct me, but I interpreted that to mean just 1% on the sale, so it's not taking out of anything the concessionaire would get. So it would be added on. I think it would just be a small portion of the overall expense for beach safety purposes. This would be one of many ways to fund it, so it's not the only way. It's just one, and that would get the people at the beach who would be benefiting from lifeguards. And, you know, it seems like tabling would be possible, because from this amendment, the September payment is based on the first amendment, and pulling that up from the June 2020 agenda packet, that goes through September of 2025. So it doesn't seem like time is urgently critical here.
Well, they are actually, and they are asking to renew, because many of them have to purchase equipment. I know one of them had to buy a $6,000 freezer because the other one went out. And like I said, they own their own equipment in there, so should something go out, and they don't know if they're gonna have a renewed contract, they don't know if they want to repurchase that piece of equipment. So they are asking for, you know, to be renewed because there are business expenses that they would have to make, and hiring folks is costly. Food costs have gone up. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but there's a lot of costs that are going into that. Moreover, on the North Beach side, we've added a provision that should some minor repairs be made, we can take that off of the license fee. As I said, that is the city's facility, so it does behoove us to have the licensee maintaining that building as best we can.
Correct, but am I,
Again, if council wants to table these and we can look into that, that's fine. I've been talking with these concessionaires, and like I said, we've worked with them for some time. They take very good care of our facilities for us, and that's something that the parks staff cannot keep up, is with these concessionaires.
right, but under the First Amendment from 2020, are they not already obligated to go through this season?
Yes, they are, but it's once they ink this season, then we have to execute the Second Amendment. That's why it was inserted into this agreement.
First of all, this should be discussed when the owners of the concessions are present. Did you contact Kate about your idea?
Previously?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I just said
George?
that we got to find creative ways. I've said this before, creative ways to create revenue to pay for the lifeguards.
George?
So I agree with the mayor. This is something that had to be negotiated with the concessionaires because the prices of their products then would go up, which means they would sell less, which means they would make less money. And so they'd want to negotiate with that. Also, we have a company that we've hired that is looking at how to fund the lifeguard program. I'm sure we could ask them to consider this as part of it, but I'm in favor of getting this approved now, and if we do decide to try to renegotiate that, we can do that at a later time.
And there.
Okay. Jeff?
I would add that I think it's important that we if we choose to add the Second Amendment to give them some job security so we can continue to be good partners with them. We've liked what they've done for us at the beaches, so I don't want to table it, but I heard Dave say it. He's happy to explore this if we want to make a separate motion towards that end, but I think right now we should offer these two amendments to these two concession
Okay.
businesses.
Okay, Mary?
Just to a couple points. So yes, I would appreciate that they would want to potentially renegotiate if with their prices slightly going up. But we only got this last week to think about. And so, you know, when we don't have notice of what's coming up on the agenda, and it was a very busy week, you know, that's why we bring things up on Monday at the meeting. So if we wanted to keep that door open, I appreciate the vendors, the licensees wanting to know what's going on, or have some confidence in this being extended. What would you recommend as the best way to proceed to keep our options open, but allowing them to have confidence that we would be renewing the lease?
At this point, if council was inclined to make any changes, we would have to go back to the vendors to run those changes by them. What we have in front of council right now is something that the vendors have seen, the vendors are comfortable with, and if council approves it, we have no reason to believe they wouldn't agree to it. Any change, though, would require further conversations between, you know, Kate, potentially our office, and the vendors. But again, we're happy to do whatever council wants us to do. Yes, sir.
Quick question. If tomorrow the state said we're raising the sales tax to 7%, it does not void their contract, correct? It's a cost of business.
Correct.
They collect it and they pass it on. It costs them nothing. The consumer pays 1% more. So my question is, our fees, does that constitute a change in their contract? A fee that's passed on to the consumer?
Again, I would have to do some research to figure out if this was a viable option, but arguendo, if we figured out a way to say, hey, yes, the city can impose some sort of tourism fee on all food sales or whatever sales, I would, there's a chance that that would then just kind of be on top of everything. But again, it's, at this point, it's very hypothetical because I have to look to see if there's even a way we could do it. But that could definitely be one of the things we would look into. And as Councilmember Sleeper said, DHS is exploring options for funding. That's something our office, Kate and DHS, will be working on and presenting those options to council at a later date. And if this is something of this flavor is something that council would like us all to look into and have that as part of that presentation, or even if we come back with it's not an option, at least letting council know we looked into it and here's why we don't think we can do it, we're happy to do that.
And could you do it between now and next city council? To me, it seems like a simple look into it. Is it possible? If it's not, if we're going to vote on it, it may take time. But if it's not doable, which is very possible, then next city council, we just say we can't do it, and that's the end. We move on and we vote for this.
If council would like an answer to that question, yes, I believe we could get council an answer on that very narrow question by the next council meeting, if that's something council wanted us to do.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these so the concessions can order what they need, open when we want them to, and make sure the bathrooms are clean?
I would move to approve the Second Amendment to the North Beach Concession License Agreement and move to approve the Second Amendment to the South Beach Concession License Agreement, both as read by the mayor.
Second.
Can we have any more discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Arnold,
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Onuki,
No.
Reeser,
No.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
No.
and Brown.
Yes.
That is 4 yeses, 3 noes, motion carries.
Thank you.
I would like to, I can change my motion, I can change my answer. Because I would like to know what is going on, if that is feasible.
If I might, make a motion to direct the,
Yeah, well, I think to do any subsequent motion would be moot with this executed. And so I am going to change my vote to no, so that I do believe we need to have that question answered, and I believe that a 2-week delay should not affect the concession stand licensees, because under the First Amendment, they are already obligated to go through the end of the year cleaning the bathrooms and stocking their concessions.
I think to be procedurally correct, you can't just change your vote. You're going to have to do a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
Attorney?
I don't have my Robert's rules on me right now, Mayor, so I don't feel like I'm in a position to provide an informed opinion, so I will defer to council, or if the clerk has any input on this, or I can try and quickly find an answer.
Megan's been doing her parliamentarian class, so I think we're pretty confident this is a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, a motion to reconsider can be made to revisit a previously decided motion, but it must be made by someone who voted on the prevailing side, and is typically limited to the same meeting or subsequent meeting.
So I would make a motion to reconsider the motion to approve the Second Amendment to the North Beach Concession License Agreement and the South Beach Concession License Agreement, that, upon which we just voted.
And just to clarify, Megan, I'm pulling deep from the memory bank here. The motion is a motion to reconsider. That motion has to pass first, correct? And then there's a vote on the original motion, which would be the motion to adopt the agreements, correct?
Yes, so it says that it's a 2-part motion. So the first one, the first motion is the motion to reconsider. A second can be done by any member regardless of how they voted on the motion. Reading, sorry, at the same time. It takes a majority to pass regardless of the vote required to adopt the motion being reconsidered. If the motion to reconsider passes, then the body takes up the original motion as it was just before the vote was taken. Yes.
So a vote on the motion to reconsider is not a vote on the contract, it's a vote on whether or not council should vote again on the contracts.
Right.
Reopen the issue.
Yeah. So I think my motion for reconsideration was correct. I just would need a second.
I second.
Okay, roll call. This is a vote on whether or not to reconsider this.
Arnold?
No.
Onuki?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Sleeper?
No.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Motion carries. So then on original, or vote back on the original motion, so.
I just want to say that I don't think this is fair to the owners of the concessions. This is something that, once again, just appeared out of nowhere. Nobody had contacted the city manager, that you had an idea that was going to be brought up. This is really unfair to the concession owners who, it would have been nice if they would have been here to comment and give their information. So once again, I'm really disappointed.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm disappointed that you're disappointed in us, because I think it's a fair thing to possibly add a tax on the food, which will not affect their sales. If you look at restaurants in this town that add 4% for using a credit card, and I've talked to them, and they said their sales have not gone down. So to add 4 or 5%, which doesn't affect the owners at all, it's fair for us to do it. And they know if they're watching this, we're not sitting here trying to take away their license. We're not trying to take anything away from them. All we're simply doing, our end game, is to try not to charge the residents for a lifeguard program. And any creative way we can come up with to create extra funds is fair game. So please don't criticize me for the
No, I'm saying it's unfortunate that the owners of the concession stand didn't know that this would be happening, because otherwise they would be here.
If I could say one last thing, this is part of a board up here, that when you're talking and presenting different ideas, we may just actually think of something that we didn't think of ahead of time, and the idea may be a good idea, it may not be a good idea. That's all part of the democratic process in voting and coming up with ideas.
Okay, Beckett.
Roll call.
Arnold?
Yes, we're voting on.
We're voting on the concession agreement amendment. Yes, so Arnold was yes. Hasley? No. Onuki? Reeser?
No.
Sleeper? Wilkins?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Moving on.
So I would move to request the attorney review and come back, provide a response by our next city council meeting on whether the tax discussed tonight is even feasible to consider for funding, adding funds for our beach safety program. Is there a second?
Will you repeat that? Sorry.
I move to request the attorney to provide an answer with regard to whether the tax on the sales of the concession stands is legally feasible to help fund beach safety program.
Okay, there's no second.
So it dies for lack of support.
Wait a minute, we haven't even got a chance. I didn't know she was finished.
She was.
I second it, so I second it.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Arnold? No.
Arnold.
Hasley?
No.
Yes. Hasley?
Onuki, yes.
Onuki?
Reeser?
Yes.
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes. Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Wilkins? Wilkins? Brown?
No.
Brown?
No.
Motion carries.
Moving on. Moving on. The city council will be asked to receive an update from Public Works Director Dana Berg.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. So, as everyone knows, it's been pretty hot out there. Today you would note, last week in preparations for 4th of July. I just really want to highlight all the work that staff put in leading up to that and that night. A lot of our folks start at 5 a.m. hours of the morning to do cleanup after that. Really impressed with the whole team. I chance to watch fireworks from North Beach this year, and it was a phenomenal show. So kudos to my staff. As well as the seasonal staff for beach enforcement and the bridge tenders are really doing a great job this year. Last week we had a few surprises that we had to deal with in preparation for 4th of July. The air conditioning unit at City Hall, and so staff and our facility superintendent worked with our maintenance vendors pretty late in the evening on July 3rd. Finally get things back up and running. We were looking at options. Alternative setups for air conditioners. If it carried on into this, we also had a sewer lateral issue at the Center for the Arts, a sinkhole in one of the streets near Indiana, and a water main leak down in Covert Township. In the midst of all the preparations for the Super Bowl event there, July 3rd fireworks, staff really responded to, and I was really impressed with all their efforts. A few other updates I had. Approving the $35 billion museum painting. That's going to be starting to install their summer events, but we're really doing work out there soon, including storm repair, cleaning, work, and then we'll be working on a sewer lateral issue at Center for the Arts tomorrow. Elkinburg Street, a lot of new construction happening out there. Reconstruction started, and it's going to be continuing early September through early September. Basketball courts are getting resurfaced in July. People see trailside development underway. We're currently talking with the folks about that person. So if that's not enough, there's more activity happening. Our entrance to Public Works is going to be getting the asphalt driveway milled starting tomorrow. And they're going to be putting in a new water main through our driveway. Storage tanks are coming to Public Works several weeks. The next several weeks. We'll be down to one lane. And we'll do traffic control through there at different times as we install that water main. Construction happening out on 72nd. Part of our overall water project that's underway, as well as booster station construction starting at the public safety building. We've got 3 more construction sites starting this week. In addition, we're replacing water service lines throughout the community. We're at about 170 places so far. We're at a pace of about 20 per week, as well as we're working with surf internet throughout. I do appreciate Mike and his team. We have bi-weekly coordination meetings, and they've been good to work with in a sense that planning around our events. They can't work in a certain area. They won't work in that area. Surf internet is one project. We also have doing work around town. Through Shasa, lead line replacement. If you do see those flags in your yard, if you've been there for more than 3 weeks, it's kind of safe to pull them out. Once they do those calls, they have to complete the work. Otherwise, they have to recall it in. So if you've seen them working in the yard, talking to the crew, the work is you can pull them out, but we usually advise people about 3 weeks is a good time frame to leave those in. So those are kind of the highlights from my updates. In addition, I wanted to share that Justin Kaminsky has been named our water sewer superintendent. So it was nice to get that role filled. And we're also letting copper sampling, consumer confidence report is out, and implement a water sewer rate as well, effective July 1st.
Any questions?
I have a question. I heard you mention give us any more information?
Yeah, we've started working with the engineers on the development team just to look at where utility services could come out for storm, water connections and sanitary sewers. That's kind of how that process is started. Couple meetings with them, some more fact finding on where the utility services can come off the site. And we wanted to coordinate that with the project to make sure that we don't just pave the road, they're planning on coming out and tying in on Elkenberg. We wanted to tie Elkenberg, we wanted to tie just early coordination of that kind of stuff.
Any other questions?
When you said sewage rate increases, is that gonna reflect on the usage side or bills?
Yeah, there'll be a commodity and ready to serve charge increases. Previously approved plan was to do a 4% increase for water and 6.9% for sewer, and that was reaffirmed by the Shawson Alliance. It works out to be total on an average bill of about $8 a month for water and sewer.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mary, I do. First, thank you, and your staff for everything you've done over the last week. Had your hands overloaded. I know some residents have written in with regard to safety and something to coordinate with the South Haven PD with regard to Chestnut and South Haven Street and subsequent emails indicated speed and passing on the yellow line for Monroe. And I know I've seen that on North Shore Drive where cars will pass other cars on North Shore Drive because they don't like the speed limit. So one calming thing that really has helped North Shore Drive is those crosswalks. So I didn't know if at least at South Haven Street and Chestnut, if a crosswalk sign could be put in there. And I didn't know if you could put crosswalk signs elsewhere for traffic calming. I know when we first got those, there was a process to determine where they could or could not go. But from some of the descriptions of what happened over the weekend with children darting out from Kids Corner, what can be done sooner than later to try and calm the traffic there.
Yeah, I know it's certainly a busy time of year, and we've met with some of those folks that you mentioned in the past. We do have a traffic control standard that we try and implement where we put those signs and where we don't. And we did look at area near Kids Corner, didn't meet all our criteria. So we have been trying to think of other things we could do there to improve safety, whether it's additional signage. We're trying to get around and freshen up all the stop bars and crosswalks. Some of the crosswalks in town, maybe a paving project several years ago didn't repaint it, so we're trying to catch all those. I know we also met in regard to summer traffic. We also met with the neighbors across the road about some ways to control speed, even here in front of City Hall and visibility. So we're looking at some of those things, but yeah, for the R3D signs that go in the crosswalks, we follow our map every year, and when we have a new request come up, we evaluate that based on our criteria. So we're happy to entertain those requests to look at that, but we try and follow our standard to keep it consistent with how they're used throughout the state.
It's just, I know I was on Erie, it was Erie, and a truck just went barreling down. It was by the grace of God, a child wasn't coming out because I bet they were easily going 25. I just, especially Kids Corner with all the cars, I know everybody's stretched thin, but I hope that something can come up. And I'm not sure signage works because with all the cars there, it's so busy, signage kind of blends in. That's why with the cones, it has a traffic calming effect.
Yeah, we've also started looking at those radar feedback signs, if that's something we want to implement more in the community. That came up in the conversations about traffic in front of City Hall, so that a driver gets, a flash of light that reminds them of their speed. Those have been proven successful in other communities, but we're currently looking at the cost of that. So.
I know on some of the streets here that just encourage younger drivers to see how fast they can go. Just a warning.
You can't put a cone where there is not a crosswalk, though.
I know, and there is, I'm positive, a crosswalk at Chestnut and South Haven Street.
There's a crosswalk, but it's very narrow.
Yeah. The other thing is, thank you for going out and looking at the home on Van Buren. I know water runoff is a significant issue in this community, and I would like to look for some common sense approaches to try and resolve it. I know I talked briefly with Kate about that. And then one other thing, as I was walking on North Shore Drive, so last year about this time, the trees are growing quite well, and unfortunately, they're right at the right height for people to start hitting their head, and I noticed someone took it into their own hands and broke the limbs, right by Webster. So that might be something your folks could look at.
I think that goes under the Parks Commission
Well,
and Aaron Pre.
and Aaron reports to Dana.
Yep, I can bring that to his attention. That came up today when we were meeting with Ms. Schubel, where the limbs were hanging down, and I had to duck when we were walking through there.
Well, even me,
Yeah.
I have to duck, so, and I'm a bit shorter, so, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. It's now time for public comment. Citizens in the audience will be heard on items not on the agenda, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Lisa Croupiers, 561 Indiana. First thing I want to say is I keep overlooking, mentioning the screen on the east side of the room here, which has been very, very, very helpful, and thank you so much for doing that. I also want to thank Shays and South Haven Police Department Public Works staff for their work for the Super Bowl, our Super Bowl, as Dana said. I do struggle with the use of our, I love the fireworks, and I love everything that it brings, and I'm okay with that, but I think I really struggle with the use of our resources for that, and what our services, what our city services have to do, the people, to prepare, and the expense, the additional people that have to come in, and especially the public works staff on the cleanup. So that's another conversation, and when Light Up the Lake is on the consent agenda, I will make it a point to come back and talk more about that. I sent an email to City Council today and to the zoning administrator regarding the 412 Phoenix electronic sign. If you have not seen it, please notice it. Take a look at that email. That sign is just an eyesore. And there's already been a complaint about it, that the business has been notified. The other signs that we continue to monitor are the Chamber of Commerce and Phoenix Street on Broadway. The monitoring things, the amber lighting is what has to be used. The message cannot change more than once every 10 seconds. And all the electronic signs are supposed to be turned off between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. So we will be continuing to monitor that, but especially the sign downtown. We would like to see the activity on that. It looks like the next action date was 6/27. Appears there has not been any action as yet. The other thing, I really do appreciate the STR hotline being on the newsroom, and also adding the STR about fireworks at STR properties. Thank you for adding that on. Last time I looked, the STR hotline had been removed with all the other announcements going on. So I wanted to ask if that could be returned for the remainder of the tourist season. The last thing I want to talk about, I volunteered at Forest House on Saturday, And as you may know, that's just south of Clementine's on Center Street. And it's for the Historical Association of South Haven. We had a couple gentlemen come in who were visitors. One was from Detroit, one was from Indiana. And I was working with Sue Hale. We were selling merchandise. They came in and said, "What is going on with your mayor race?" And we were like, "What?" "Well, there's these signs that are out there, and what is going on with the mayor race?" And so we, to the best of our ability, there was a room of people there. We tried to address this situation as appropriately as we could, but Linda Wachowski wrote a letter to the editor. We really hoped there would be some action about those signs as a result of that. Nothing has happened. Those signs are illegal. They are not compliant with campaign law. There is a jail sentence, thank
You have
you,
1 minute?
and a fine that goes with that. We have two the highest profile leaders here, one right here, and the mayor. And I think it is about time somebody stand up and acknowledge that these signs need to be removed. Tourists have to be wondering, and after what happened with our police debacle at the beginning of the year, we do not need this. This does not reflect well on our community. And the residents don't like it. The tourists are wondering what the heck is going on here. And we are asking for our leaders to please acknowledge these signs exist and ask them to be removed. Thank you.
How you doing? Nathaniel Goodwin, 608 Cherry Street. I'm here again about the parking situation. I came here a while ago, I asked y'all about the parking sign in front of my barbershop, the Shave Cave. Y'all put a 3-hour sign up. And I was warned soon as they put it up, they said, now y'all making them enforce it more. I got 3 tickets last month for parking in front of my barbershop. And I just want a better understanding on the parking situation and wonder, I'm confused. I mean, what all the taxes y'all say y'all getting and all that, who is this for? Is it for the community? You know, because I don't understand how y'all just keep ticketing me. I mean, and it was like not 2 days in a row I got a ticket. Came back, seen him by the car, and he was like, "No, you ain't got to worry about it. Today is Juneteenth." You know, and it seemed like they antagonized me. And I just wonder, do y'all, because I've been here 4.5 years. I try my best to work hard to take care of my family and to provide a service for this community. I cut hair around here. I cut the kids' hair for free and feed them. You know, I do stuff like that, just try to better the community. And it don't seem like, I don't know if my race got anything to do with it or like that, but I don't understand it, and I am seeking a better understanding on that. I seen, like on 4th of July, I was down here by the shop, and I see no tow trucks around, you know, and I was down for the Juneteenth, and there was tow trucks everywhere, just pulling cars like it was nothing. And I mean, and I ain't just in a rush to say, y'all don't like me, or you don't like black people, or nothing like that. I just need some understanding. I have over $80 worth of tickets I gotta pay. And it's like, and I watch them, and I'm not the only person in my barbershop. I'm not giving nobody up or nothing, but I watch them. I got cameras. Behind me is 5 minutes. My park, where I park it, is 3 hours. I watch them ride past the 5 minute and ticket me every rip. How can your car pick up me, and I've been here 3 hours, but you passed this 5 minute parking? You know, it just don't, I don't get no understanding. I can't get an understanding from the parking people because they take it. Just move your car, or you know what I'm saying? They don't give no type of understanding, and it's very frustrating. I'm sorry if my tone is a little high, you know, but it's very frustrating. And I try, like I say, I try hard to make a difference in this community. You know I didn't always do that, but I'm different now. I try hard to make a difference in this community. I came in here a couple times about your police. They getting worse. I caught one of the police throwing one of my nephews out the park the other day just for shooting a little pellet gun. you know, with some other kids, and he just freaked out. Him and a couple other non-black people had him just surrounded. A 13-year-old boy, two people that ain't police and the police just telling him get out the park, don't come back for the summer for playing with a gun that says from 5 to 12-year-olds that they bought in the store. You know, and and they don't come down to like I say, support on nothing. They have yet to come through the shop just to see what happens, so I don't feel they say that my safety is important, because you don't even come through here and see what I need. You know what I'm saying? They don't come down that way. I don't know who's over my zone or whatever like that. So I don't know if it's the people who are not like me or Mrs. Cunningham. I mean, or Mrs. Wilkins. But I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, it don't seem like we matter around here. And it's very frustrating. And I mean, I don't, like I say, I don't want to make nobody feel like they doing nothing wrong or that they're racist or nothing like that. I just want to be heard. I want to be seen. And we want to be afforded the same thing everybody else is getting.
1 minute.
Everything everybody else is getting. I looked at the 4th of July and the Labor Day thing. You know, Juneteenth had one day to set off fireworks. All the other days had the whole weekend. You know, and I mean, it feel like that. And then I like I said, I'm not here to cause trouble, and I don't want to go nowhere. But if I'm not wanted here, I would like people to quit hiding and just say it, move around. We don't want you here because I'm paying tickets, I'm paying rent, you know, and I'm giving back. I mean, and then I heard y'all when I first came in here, y'all talking about you're getting taxes on everything, or how you gonna tax the concession stand so you can pay for this and all like that. I mean, it's very frustrating, and I'm really seeking some answers. I don't know. I'm gonna go pay them tickets because I know that's what I gotta do. But I really didn't ask for a 3-hour parking sign when I work from 8 to 8. What is 3 hours gonna do?
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Please call our city manager tomorrow, and you can discuss this with her, and she'll help your understanding.
Andrea Goodwin Hooker, 963 Kalamazoo Street. I am coming to you on behalf of our community to express deep concerns regarding the consolidation of summer recreation programs under the South Haven Public School Districts. While we recognize and respect the vital role to our educators in school that school plays throughout the academic year, this plan has serious unintended consequences for youth development, community relationships, and public trust. Our independent summer recreation programs are more than just a seasonal outlet. They are a lifeline. These programs provide mentorship, cultural enrichment, safety, and joy in a setting that is community-based and deeply rooted in relationship building. They give our youth the opportunity to grow as well as individuals beyond the classroom, offering positive interactions, creativity, and leadership opportunities that foster long-term personal and social development. The South Haven Public School District, however, continues to face significant operational and academic challenges. Math proficiencies across the district is only 23%, well below the Michigan State average of 34%. Students in grades 3 through 8 are performing more than 1.4 grade levels below national average in math, compared to a 0.7 level gap across Michigan. Reading proficiencies hover over 39%, still behind the statewide average of 45%. And additionally, throughout the year, there's always the shortage of bus drivers, forcing our children to find their own rides to school, parents to find their own children's ride to school. The district also struggles with consistent staffing in both academic and support roles. Given these realities, it's simply unrealistic and unfair to expect the school system to absorb the responsibility of community-based summer programming. The capacity is not there, and placing this additional burden on an already strained system would not serve the best interests of our youth. More importantly, I have highlighted that community programs like ours have consistently been undervalued due to lack of resources and promotion. With proper funding and dedicated efforts to advertise and support these incentives, the success rate and participation would grow exponentially. Instead, these appear to be a pattern of withholding recognition and visibility from these programs, which in turn is used to justify consolidating and eliminating them. The school district has our children for the majority of the year. The summer months should belong to the community, a time when youth can experience life beyond academics, develop soft skills, and engage in culturally relevant programming that meets them where they are. For these reasons, I urge the city leadership to preserve the independence and funding of our park and recreation programming. Our children deserve more than just a one-size-fits-all system. They deserve vibrant, supported, and community-led opportunities to thrive in every season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bishop Wilkins, 8011 Indiana Street. I tried to ditto, I think, speak to what I've heard real quick. I was here a couple of meetings when Mr. Goodwin has spoken about his business. This council, the previous council, and every council members that I've been here sat down and watched. You all have been strong on supporting local business owners. I think it's about time for you all to figure out what he needs. I'm getting older, I don't need my hair cut as much. But if you go in a barber shop, it's hard to get in there in an hour and get out. I think everyone know that. So he's been here several times since I've been here. I think this council owe it to him and the staff owe it to him to figure out what he needs in the way of parking so he's not paying $80 in parking ticket. Now, Ms. Goodman came up here and talked to something I think is important. The park has always been, since I've been in South Haven, I grew up in South Haven, born in South Haven, the park has always been an outlet where kids of color was better reached by people that lived within their community, that knew them. It offered a way of reaching kids that the public school system could not reach. And so she stated, I think, in a more eloquent way, that to eliminate the programs that's in the park and don't give them the resources and funding that other programs have, and forcing everything in one venue or one area is, I think it's a poor judgment. That's my opinion. So I think what she said is valid and should be looked into, because that park served as an outlet where we learned a lot of stuff, soft, tangible things from Elkenberg Park. Growing up, I came through that rec program. I could tell you what it meant for kids that lived in the Pleasant View Addition area. We didn't get that in the school. We got it at mentors that looked like us right at the park. So that means something, when they can see people that look like them. And so I think we need to take a look at that. Second, I enjoy walking in the parade, and people that came out. It started out kind of rainy, but it turned out to be a great parade. South Haven is a place that, like I said, I grew up. I love this area, especially in the summertime. People don't really like South Haven in the summertime, but I like to see it blow up from 3,000 to maybe 16,000. I don't know, probably even more. But I'm a people watcher, and I like to go in the stores and see all these new faces, and so that South Haven is great in the summertime. I don't know how we going to regulate. I'm getting older. Our population in South Haven is getting older. But I went in I think it was Saturday night, and I suffer from ringing. And anything with discharge real loud would cause that to trigger the ringing in my ear. These fireworks that's being let off now, with this growing average age of South Haven going up, is not good for our city. And this was a couple of blocks down. I was just sitting out in the front with Miss Wilkins, and it happened about 4 or 5 times, and it wasn't something like light up the sky that looks pretty. These are like small sticks of dynamite, sound like. And there's nothing fun about that. And it was in an area where I knew wasn't local year-round residents. So I know that we have some kind of policy or ordinance about STR owners allowing this to take place in these homes. But I look down the street because I know pretty much the area, And it's not coming from somewhere it wasn't coming from a house that I knew had local residents. So I want us to take a look at that, maybe limit the days. I'm not a joy killer.
You have 1 minute.
But some of the stuff that's being let off now, it is outright harsh to the ears and to anybody that's surrounded. We struggle with it with a newborn, but I'm not newborn. I'm not going to put that on the residents because we have a newborn and had to listen to that. But it really triggered my hearing. So I ask that you all take a look at what we allow to be set off in South Haven legally. If there's a way to either maybe shorten the days or at least enforce it. If we enforce it, maybe. But these bombs that's being set off are very risky, damaging, and can hurt somebody. Again, I think we also should just take a look at what was said earlier, if the staff can get back to these two individuals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie Ludwig, 612 Center Street. Everything I'm going to say has to do with the background of the big budget bill that was passed in DC the last week. Today I paid my summer taxes. I was glad to do it, and I looked at the what my money's going to go for. This time it's garbage, drug enforcement, the library. So I know where my money's going. And I want to know how that budget bill that was passed with, there may be some very good things in it, but there are a lot of cuts that are going to trickle down to the local community. And what I want to know is how that's affecting our city and our community. Just for instance, this doesn't relate to the city, but there were many Medicaid cuts, and I can tell you as a retired nurse midwife, we have a lot of people on Medicaid in Van Buren County. If our local hospitals aren't going to get that Medicaid money, what's going to happen? They're going to raise costs, and all of us will be paying more. So that's just one example of how it's going to affect us locally. Another part of that bill was a $14 billion a local law enforcement bill, much of it used as an incentive to local law enforcement to partner with federal authorities and serve as a force multiplier for ICE. I think if anybody's been watching lately, we've seen some pretty dreadful things happening to people just taken off the street, masked people, no identification. And this bill has something called 287G agreements where ICE can deputize local law enforcement to carry out some of their duties. Previously, that amount was $24 million. It's now $650 million for these 287G agreements, which are very appealing to police and public safety organizations that are struggling financially. So I just want to know from the council, are we going to, what's the thinking about that? And I know it's a long ways off. It just happened last week, but that's something I'm really going to be keeping my eye on. Thank you.
And you can call our city manager tomorrow, and she will have the information you need.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Elaine Herbert, 404 North Shore Drive. During SDR ordinance redo, City Attorney Bloom was crystal clear. If a SDR property is not zoning compliant, regardless of if it has been registered before, whatever or whoever's mistake or circumstance, no matter its land use, if not in zoning compliance then and not in zoning compliance now, the property cannot pass an annual inspection and cannot get an annual registration. Land use and annual registration, he told us, are not the same thing. There are zoning compliance rules in order to be registered. Bloom said the SDR property that has land use but is zoning non-compliant has the option of coming into compliance can put in a driveway or adequate on-site parking, or if unable to do so, can apply for a zoning variance to ZBA. This is the essence of reform. I have been writing to STR zoning administrators Doucette and Blodgett for several months regarding upcoming registrations in my neighborhood, and I get no response to my emails. No response. But the rules are the rules, and zoning compliance is the rule then, and it still is. You, City Council, are copied on these issues and should care that I get no response. City Attorney Bloom declared publicly that there are 50 to 100 registered STRs that are acknowledged to be not zoning compliant. These should not be re-registered until zoning compliance, especially like on-site parking, is accomplished. Staff should stop registering accessory buildings. Residential properties are allowed by city code one principal structure, one principal use, one dwelling unit. To make any claim to some kind of vintage resort protection, a property would need to have an ordinance-mandated, unexpired special use resort permit. No property is a legal vintage resort just because it says it is. This is the essence of reform. I have been writing regarding a PSTR in my neighborhood registered in a garage. This is an accessory building STR similar to at least 50 others on North Shore Drive's 7 blocks. This garage STR is a non-existent address on a non-existent city parcel, yet still gets registered. If you are reading your email, City Council, you are aware of the overbooking, the undocumented renters, 2 fresh ones tonight as I came in, and the lack of enforcement. Did you know that Code Enforcement Officer Rick Loper no longer does STR zoning enforcement? Either does Granicus, and STR staff seems to have no enforcement arm either. City Council should direct City Manager to run the STR program with an enforcement staff member. 2 STR properties next door to my home are currently up for registration. The first has no driveway. Will it magically pass zoning inspection in flagrant violation of STR ordinance parking requirements, driveway access, and on-site parking requirements? City Council should direct City Manager to require zoning compliance. The other neighbor STR has a second STR in an accessory building, unable to be a dwelling unit or STR per our ordinance. Will you look away as staff ignores the ordinance and skips zoning compliant magically for this accessory building again and register the STR? City Council should direct City Manager to stop registering accessory buildings. Repeating to be clear, our ordinance prohibits accessory buildings to be dwelling units or SDRs in any zoning district in South Haven. Prohibits accessory buildings from being SDRs. Why are they registered? We are residential zones, and I know I have 1 minute, and we are allowed 1 principal use per property. These SDR registrations must stop. Parking must be on-site and zoning compliant. This is the promise of reform and restoration of neighborhood quality of life. It's straightforward. Zoning compliance is required in order to pass annual inspection and then be issued an annual registration. It always was since 2016, and it still is. Become zoning compliant or get a variance. Doing it right this time was the promise of reform. City Council must direct City Manager to direct zoning staff to follow the law of this community when registering SDRs and enforce zoning compliance. We need to see that City Manager is partnered with reform and that this mayor and this council will demand zoning compliance. Okay. Will demand zoning compliance. Yes, ma'am. You
Kent Sprindley, 345 Bailey Avenue. Recently, we have had many events in the community for our community members to go out and to enjoy. We had Pride in the Park, we had Light Up the Lake, we had our 4th of July parade, and we had our craft fair last weekend over in Stanley Johnson Park. I want to thank all of the event organizers. I want to thank everyone who made these events possible for us to enjoy. I rather enjoyed the enthusiasm and the spirit of community during the 4th of July parade. And again, I just want to thank all of the event organizers, everyone who made these events possible, and everyone who enjoyed our events in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. If there are no further comments, we are moving on to city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to alert the council that we are working with Safe Kids for Greater South Haven, Shays, the LCHPD, and other community partners to bring out National Night Out for August 5th. That'll be 5 to 7 in the Huron Street Pavilion. We are working with the Van Buren County Sheriff's deputies. We'll have this up on our website to have that out there. Looks like we'll have some free hot dogs and some popsicles out there. It was a great event last year. Interim Chief DeBoer is taking a lead on this and is really partnered with Pam Ford of Safe Kids of Greater South Haven. I also know that we've had some questions about where is parking in town. Well, I understand the concerns about, we did change the 5-minute parking to 3-hour parking over on William Street. This is a great map that's up on our map section on our website. Everything that you see hashed out here is 3-hour parking, and we're very aggressive about this. This is something that we've worked with our business owners, with people who work downtown, that this is where if it's 3 hours, we mean 3 hours. But we also have all these blue lots that this is free all-day parking. You can be there as long as you'd like, and you can be there and you won't get a ticket. So we've got 2 lots already on William Street. There's 2 lots on Quaker Street. There's obviously the Huron Street lot, and then we have 2 lots over on Kalamazoo Street. What also is not shown on this map, is that we have streets where there are all-day parking as well. So Quaker Street, as you can see here, is not hashed out, and that's free all-day parking as well. Huron Street is free all-day parking, and portions of Kalamazoo Street have free all-day parking. Eagle Street has free all-day parking. We've got a lot of parking around here. I would also say there's Congress Street. I can tell you, if you need to find parking in this town, we can get you that parking. So I'm happy to print this map out and give this to Mr. Goodwin. But we do have a lot of parking out there. We want people to know where you can park and not get a ticket, because nobody wants to get a ticket. That's no fun. So those are some items that I'd like to kind of share with that. Also, I did really want to give a big kudos out to DPW, SHP, Shays, and all the different staff members that undertook the festivities this weekend. It was July 3rd fireworks. It was the July 4th parade. It was also setting up for the art fair in the park and all the things that we do. It's a great team that we have here, and we really work hard. So those are my comments. Thank you.
And I just want to say, so the blue parking on Williams is a short walk to the Shave Cave. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2 of them right there.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Anything else, Kate?
No, thank you.
Okay. Time for mayor and councilperson's comments. Mrs. Wilkins?
How about questions for Kate?
Oh, questions for Kate. Mary.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go
I just
ahead.
have a question because I used to work at Old Harbor Inn and used to face the same dilemma that Mr. Goodwin was facing. Of course, I wasn't a business owner, but parking is hard because there were times that I had to ask someone to drop me off at work. So what other option, since he is the owner, I mean, is there any way that there wouldn't be a 3-hour limit on the one parking space?
If I do that, then we're picking and choosing who gets to have 3-hour parking and who doesn't get to have 3-hour parking. So here's my question is, let's say Mr. Goodwin gets there in the morning and somebody else is there parked all day. It's not a parking space for just one business owner. This is something that we run into for every street on South Haven, and on Phoenix Street, on Center Street. I've got a lot of people who ask, can't you just give me the parking space right in front of my store, just for me? And there's just no way for us to do that.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but here's another issue, and I think I've told you this before. I don't know who the enforcement people are, but there are some, whoever it is, it's like certain people they get all the time, and certain people never get a ticket. And I remember I had that gripe about my garbage can. And so if he's getting a ticket, that means that everyone in the community downtown should be getting a ticket as well. So, and even when it comes, and I heard someone talk about the short-term rental, it's the same thing. I visually have seen people renting illegally. Some people are getting citations and some people aren't. So I think we got to come up with something where it's coming across fair, because yes, we do value his business and we value him in this community, and no, we do not want to lose him in this community. We don't have any other barber shops in South Haven, and so I say that we need him, and I think that we got to, I know you can't make favorites like you just said, but is there something else we can come up with?
If we were to take away the 3-hour parking, I can't guarantee that he would have the all-day parking that he would be looking for, because quite honestly, there's 2 hotels right next door. So how do you stop that from being all-day parking being used up by hotels? This is the rub, because there's so many different varied businesses downtown that we're trying to find a solution that works for everyone, but unfortunately, sometimes we're gonna have to look into it, but I can, if we were to remove the 3-hour parking on William Street, I can't guarantee that any one of those are gonna be set aside for Mr. Goodwin. They could be just taken up by hotel folks who are just parking down there.
Right.
So.
What about with the ticket? What can we do about the ticket?
I'm happy to talk with staff, make sure that we are applying that equally. I do know that this is the first year that we have, I think, up to 6 parking enforcement this year. And we've been also going into the neighborhoods and making sure that we have people who are parking correctly around parks. So that's something that we had been asked by council to, is making sure that we have people parking correctly on Monroe and around Kids Corner, and we've been doing that. We've also been checking to make sure that people are not parked over the sidewalk. So we've stepped up our parking enforcement, it seems at the request of council. So we've been very proactive about parking enforcement this year.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to talk with staff and make sure that we're being even-handed.
Anything else? Letitia?
Oh, you talking?
Yeah.
Anything else as far as?
Any other comments or questions for Kate? Joe?
I was just going to say, at 4th of July, July 3rd, for the fireworks, the police did a fabulous job. I'm sitting, as you know, right on the corner of Monroe and Monroe Street, and I see it all. And the moment someone parked on Monroe Street, they had a tow truck and took it away. And they were very clear to keep that street clear.
Yeah.
I saw police driving up and down Monroe Boulevard. I saw them, and I don't know if I've ever missed it before, but they were on foot walking through the park, walking down Monroe Boulevard. And bottom line, I think, at least from my perspective, and I could be wrong, it seemed like a safe night, that we didn't have any problems to speak of.
It went very smoothly.
Yeah, so I want to thank the police and the police chief, because I remember you stood here and said, we have a plan and we're going to implement the plan. And so I'd like to thank him for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Mary?
So with regard to the tickets, I have heard that they've been quite zealous. I know what I had requested as a council person was avoiding the cost of a parking study and having the police at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., hopefully when they were not busy, going through and identifying areas where cars were parked across the sidewalk, and the parking attendants going out first thing in the morning, because at wee hours of the morning, it's not a delivery truck, it's not someone stopping quickly to drop something off, it's parking issues. And what I also have heard is some of the tickets are when someone is within the 1-inch border of the parking space, not on the outside of the parking space. and not obstructing traffic. So I know that there are issues on Center where the trucks are too long. And I actually had heard of a situation where someone actually took pictures of their car so that if they did get a ticket, they would prove that they were within the box. And so I don't know. I don't know what the reason for the tickets were, but from what I'm hearing is that some are quite zealous about issuing tickets, and others are much less so. So I think it would help to have a better understanding of the ticket issue. For
What would you like to have, I'm sorry to interrupt, what would you like to have a better understanding about?
No, so so even if someone is just in the white bracket part marking the parking space, that would result in a ticket.
I'd have to check.
That's where I'm saying it would be nice to have that clear. I do know that along North Shore Drive, there were several vehicles that were parked where there were no boxes, and quite close to driveways, so that would obstruct being able to see cars coming and going. And I don't think I saw any parking people coming down North Shore Drive over the weekend. They probably focus on North Beach and the beach areas, but and with regard, so that was, I just wanted to say that with the tickets. For the recreation director, what is the status of hiring someone? Because I know when we were talking about that, my biggest concern is that it was too much in the school, and the reason it was brought forward is many, many years ago, it really was doing recreation for our children, and it was represented that would still be the case. And so I know they had to come back because they couldn't find anyone to work part-time. They were reposting it. What's the status of that?
I'll have to check with them.
Okay. And for, we also check on the 412 Phoenix Street because it's been over a month since the date that it was supposed to be resolved.
I'll have to check with them.
And for the motion that we had for the concession stands, I certainly would expect the licenses to come back because I think the hiccup was having a question that couldn't be answered. And I think once that question is answered, then we would be able to vote on that. And we are still on for this Thursday for the Code of Conduct meeting.
The ad hoc committee? Yes.
Okay. And just one thing, as I had mentioned with Dana, I would look forward to possibly having the Planning Commission look over, reevaluating, having the parking so close to the line, as we discussed this morning, or this afternoon. It changed, I believe, in 1987, there we go. And having non-pervious material right up to the property line just really causes problems between neighbors and I think inherently violates the zoning ordinance if the driveway is not properly installed and tilted right to drain the water back onto the property owner's land.
Okay, moving on to mayor and councilperson's comments. Letitia.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say thank you to the police department for doing a fine job of keeping us safe over the weekend. And I want to say thank you to Miss Andrea Hooker with her pretty group who has been doing a phenomenal job in the community, bringing the young people together. And I also heard what she said and about, keeping it in the park, just piggybacking off of Bishop Wilkins. I too grew up on going to the park every summer with Mrs. Mosley. I don't know if anybody remember Mrs. Mosley. Probably not in here. I don't know if you were here, but we look forward to being with her every summer. She was like a free babysitter in the park. And that was like one of the only times I didn't get to go to the park often, but I got to go to the park with Mrs. Mosley, and she taught us a lot of different things. And so I hear you wanting to keep that legacy going, and I think that's a great idea. And I hope that we do consider her suggestion. Gotta put my glasses on. Oh, I do want to clear this up. I have not had a baby. I have a grandchild. Mr. Wilkins said we had a newborn. That I did not have it. My daughter did. So we are grandparents. So I did want to clear that up. Also, to to Kate, a lot of the community, people in the community have been complaining about cell phone connection, having difficulties connecting, and also wanting to know when is the groundbreaking for the Overton project as well. And I think that is it.
On the Overton site, as Dana had mentioned, we've been having some preliminary conversations about their engineering. They have got to get a site plan that has to be put together. We also want to have them bring a concept plan to the council. We're hoping to have them bring that back on July 21. And the idea is that we're trying to get everything lined up for them so they can make an October 1 MISTA application date. If they are successful to get MISTA funding the first round, then we could possibly see groundbreaking next year. But this is what we're trying to do in the next 2 months, because we have a really short time frame to get everything we need to line up for them, zoning-wise, site plan-wise, pilot agreement, anything else they would need to make an application to MISTA. That's what we've been working on, and we'll be doing that for the next couple months. So we'll be bringing in the concept plan to you on the 21st. And we may be bringing in a future pilot agreement, because those are things that they have to get lined up. We're also working on STR registration and the FAQ, because we do know that people are looking to get registered, and that's something else we have got to get done. And then thirdly, we're always looking at housing. So I did talk with Joe a little bit today about Habitat for Humanity, maybe having them coming in for a presentation. You've given me 3 priorities. I am making those my priorities and making sure that we are making them accomplished as best we can, and those are my priorities.
Thank you, City Manager. And one last thing, well, not one last thing, but there were some concerns about the price point for the trailside condos that are going up. Apparently, we were told one price, and now the pricing has increased tremendously.
I'm happy to look into that, but I also know they're a private developer, and I'm not sure what else has caused that price to go up, but that's something we can ask them about, because they're across the street from Overton.
Okay, thank you.
George?
I just want to also thank everyone on city staff and all the members of the community that helped make this past weekend go very smoothly. It just was a great weekend. I saw a lot of people having fun, so thank you for that.
All of us from time to time have heard divisive comments about other people in the community, especially on social media, and I'm proud to say I'm not on social media, but I hear about it. Sadly, some people have gone so far in this community as to put yard signs up criticizing one of the candidates running for office for mayor. Even more disturbing is one person here on city council has even put such a yard sign in his yard. This is not how democracy should work, and it really reflects very badly on our community. So I've taken it upon myself in the last few weeks to talk to a lot of residents and ask them what they think about South Haven. Overwhelmingly, people love this town, so much so that when I have said, if you had the money and live anywhere in this country, where would you live? 5 out of 6 have said they live in South Haven. So at that point, I'd like to share 3 events that have happened in this community in recent years that have made me extremely proud of this community and proud to even live here. The first one I'll never forget, Black Lives Matter March. It was a protest of police murder of a black man, George Floyd. It was one too many cases of violence of black people at the hands of bad police, not the good police. It was a call for our community to be in solidarity with black people and people of color to say no more use of excessive force. Thousands, definitely hundreds and hundreds of people in our town came together to march, and the leadership of Bishop Wilkins had all of us take a knee walking in town. I'll never forget that moment. Another one, LGBTQ Pride Festival. There's a common thread with the Black Lives Matter March. It's a way to say we want solidarity. We are with you, with people that have been stigmatized and discriminated against. We are your allies, all people of races and identities. We celebrate you and support your human rights. By the way, the festival was bigger and better than it was the year before, and it was peaceful, and there was plenty of city council people there, straight people, and LGBT community. So I was very proud of that. The last one, the third one, that I'll never forget either, is No King's March. This was against authoritarian leadership and to show our commitment to democracy and the U.S. Constitution, regardless of which party and which side you fall on. It demonstrated community solidarity and resistance to the violation of human rights. Our Constitution says that all people are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain and inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I am proud of South Haven and the township and the surrounding areas that stood up for equality, democracy, and human rights. These are important events to me, and it should be for all of us. So thank you, South Haven, for even allowing me to live in this wonderful community. Thanks.
Mary?
So Thursday is a public hearing on the master plan update, and thank you, Kate, for getting that on the newsroom. The the AAUW of South Haven is having a candidate forum on July 15th. Meet and greet is at 6 p.m., Q&A at 7 p.m. Also on 7/16, the next day, at the Michigan Maritime Museum. You can, if you have not seen him yet, Hayden Wasajizik is going to be doing his short performance and at the Maritime Museum for their Lunch and Learn. So, and that starts at noon. It's free. And again, if you haven't seen him, please do. He has participated, he's presented at Scott Club, Liberty, Hyde Bailey, and the library, in addition to going to nationals. I, too, want to reiterate the concern with cell phone coverage. I know on July 3rd and 4th, when the population swells, the towers get overloaded, and phones just don't work. So looking forward to more options and hopefully resolving that. And thank you to everyone who's participated today, remotely or here in person, and also to our first responders and staff who made our long weekend safe. Thank you.
Wendy?
Joe already touched on one thing that I was going to mention, which is I heard from a resident in Ward 2 today who also expressed his disappointment in the negative yard signs that are up around town, and I think it's disappointing to have those still up. It's not a reflection of our community, and I think that we can do better. So if you have one of those signs in your yard, I would request that you reflect on whether that's serving the purpose, and if you could do that in a different way that's not so negative and divisive. And I know that we have a ad hoc meeting, which I won't be a part of, for the code of conduct. So I think last year, this has been on the council's radar for a year and a half, since last January, to come up with something that reflects who we are as a council and a community, a way that we can be respectful, and when we have differences, still come together and just engage in a way that behooves our positions up here. So anyway, I printed out the Ludington City Council's Code of Conduct because I saw it last year and thought it was a really great example of how to do our job and still be respectful of everybody and stay in good standing in the community. And so I just presented that to all of our council to look at and see if we can come up with something as good or better than what they have. And one more thing really quickly. We did get an email over the weekend, I think, about someone who came and used the beach wheelchair for their relative, and they were just so happy that they were able to do that. And they said it had been a very long time since they were able to get out to the water. And so I wanted to thank the Visitors Bureau and everyone else who made that happen. That is awesome to have in our community. And that's all for me.
Jeff?
Okay. First, congratulations to Dustin Gominski on his new promotion. He's a South Haven Ram, and I know he had a good history and economics teacher. And then I want to add my voice to the choir from up here, and then the public. I've heard nothing but positive things about the fireworks, the Light Up the Lake, the art fair. So thanks to the city staff, to the DPW, to Shays, and the police department. And finally, probably won't like me mention it, but I want to give a shout out to Susie and Jimmy Pacwa. They, for the 12, I asked her, she can't remember, 12 years plus, she buys a stack of pizzas that she delivers to the police department and the fire department on the 3rd, because she knows they're going to have a long day. So she said, well, at least I can buy them lunch. And so shout out to Susie and Jimmy and their nephews, their cute nephews, deliver the pizzas. Shout out to them for doing that for our police and fire every year. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Just a housekeeping note, if you have questions for Kate and would like an answer, please contact her during the week when she has the information at her fingertips. Then you will get the information that you want and need. I just want to say this week we had 2 great hires, and I'll wait till Kim's back to tell the details about that. But so I'm very happy about the growth of our city staff. And I just want to echo what everybody else said. Behind every successful holiday are the City of South Haven teams who make it happen. And thank you to our teams, the police, Shays, DPW, and our other partners who keep our city safe, clean, and moving forward during the 3rd and the 4th of July. So thank you so much. You did a phenomenal job, and much of the work is done while we're sleeping. So thank you. If there's no further comment.
Close meeting.
Oh, thank you. Is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 1H to consider a written attorney opinion exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute?
I move to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.2681H to consider a written attorney opinion exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal law.
Support?
Statute.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Arnold?
Yes.
Hosley?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.